Yep.
Good. Welcome to the Godless Talkatives, man. These are my fellow Godless folks, and they happen to be talkatives too. I will start with some introductions. My name is Kwabena Chibwesiakon. I'm an atheist, a humanist, and some know me as the president of the Humanist Association of Ghana. And I have with me my fellow hellbound brothers. Point of correction.
Definitely.
So some introductions are in order.
Okay, my name is Mas Bogo. I identify first as a human being and also an atheist.
Okay. He set the tone, so anybody else who's not a human being, please let us know.
I think that would be me.
Just for us to be sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I think the primaries qualify. Okay, so I'm Eugene Akono. I am a fallibilist and an optimist.
Okay, for those who did not hear that, he said it's a fallacious. What did he say again?
And an optimist.
Okay, so he gives fallacious optimistically. And we have also.
Then humanist atheist.
Is that all?
Yes, please.
Are you human?
Yeah, human.
Okay.
Before I could
and an
even extend to
African.
human.
And an African.
No, so, nowadays we have to be sure because we have humans here, so you never know. Me I'm Optimus Prime, so
Some primates are not humans.
exactly. So Charlie guys, we are in perilous times. That's a word I thought I'll never get to use. Corona and things, Charlie. So what have you guys been up to? Then you wanna start?
Charlie. Corona, it really affected me though. I'm a teacher, I'm a mathematics teacher, so our learning went to a new paradigm. We were really doing heavy learning online. It was a new experience, opened up a lot of opportunities to be able to reach your children on a different level. Things I used to have as ideas, time was not giving me to do. I began to do them, teaching, recording, and all those things. But then, even after that, they had to lay us off when the children finished their semester. So it has affected me. So Corona, I think the times have its perks. So we have been in it and we believe we shall overcome like humanity has always done.
As some of us will say, in Jesus' name.
Jesus.
In Jesus' name.
That's what you're reaching for.
I swear. Amy, what's up?
Alright, cool. So, I mean, on my end, largely the whole COVID situation has affected the nature of work. As we all know, now we have to work remotely. This has also kind of affected the working hours because there really isn't a divide between usually with office setting you can do the 8 to 5, but at home you can be called at any time.
Yeah.
And then on my end as well, work has sort of been restructured. So a lot of the workload has been shipped to Nigeria, and then there have been some downsizing at my end.
Wow.
So I mean, only work that needs to be done, physically, is what has sort of been sustained. And it's taken some toll in terms of interacting with people. We would prefer face-to-face interaction as opposed to the online.
We miss house parties
and stuff like that. So, but I've been trying to, as best as I can, deal with it.
Yeah. I mean, what are we gonna do? It's not like we can pray it away.
No. I suspect that option is actually out.
You guys are getting this on YouTube already.
We've been praying that this stuff really doesn't work. Yeah.
What's up?
So, I mean, for me, it's been a whole new experience for me personally and I mean, there's been some positives in my case because I had to stay at home.
He's actually profiting off this. Well, I thought it was like the billionaires and stuff that are doing.
Oh yeah.
Once you are polishing the billionaire shoes, you always have
Yeah, so I started a data agency in January.
Ooh.
And so I've been freelancing, getting jobs. The only thing was that with some contracts I couldn't continue with them because they were into events and public gatherings were not being allowed anymore. So, but then I had the opportunity to read a lot of books that I never really had the time to read. Yeah. So for me, that's like the positive, and I got the opportunity to hang out with my family. I started to leave school, so it was fine. That was one positive, and I got to come around and play game with Nene more often.
So basically, what you're saying is that you had the opportunity to finally kick his ass.
Yes, check it out. Yeah.
It's just for this. It's just for this year. It's just for this year. It's just for this year. You had always been suffering.
Yeah, I was suffering before, but Corona brought the new.
I like how positive he is because he's always seen the glass half full. So he gets to spend time with family, forgetting that the only reason why he's getting to spend time with family is because of Corona, and they have to come back home, and they don't have a choice. They are forced to spend time. So they may not be seeing that as a positive.
Of course.
For me, I don't think anything much has changed because I was already working from home. So being a building services engineer, always consultancy, always in the house designing. So this is kind of like
your deal.
Yeah, it's another day in the life of a boring engineer. But interesting enough, I also got to listen to a few more podcasts than I would have.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's good. That's good.
I've been all Yuval as well.
We've been all like Joe Rogan.
No, see, this is the thing. Now I'm more into the social sciences, and by that I don't mean the professionals. I mean just listening to ordinary human beings interact. Yeah, it's more interesting than the professionals because ordinary human beings, it's like seeing primates in their natural habitats. It's very intriguing. Very, very intriguing. Anyway, so this podcast, as we said, it's Godless Talkatives. You can't get us to shut up. You can try. You can fast and pray.
At least I don't think in real time you can't get us to shut up.
I mean, so those on Facebook who just paused, we just press pause just so you can shut us up. That is not what we need.
That's not how time travel works.
Exactly, that's not how it works.
You need another device for that.
Exactly. You can't get us to shut up. And what we plan to do with this podcast is to, converse our usual selves. Talk about the mundane, talk about the interesting, talk about atheism, humanism. What it means to be a human, what it means to be alive. And I hope we can be able to achieve that. And in the process, a side effect of this is if you learn something, you learn something. But we are not really here to teach you anything.
Yeah.
We are just really here to expose you to, a plethora of handsome men like us.
Oh.
That's all we are here to do.
You get boy.
There was another thing on social media. Is that who they eat comment? Who they eat, why should you? So now I intentionally ask that on any topic I see, I just go and ask, that interesting conversation, who they eat? just to piss people off. Anyways, so we are going to start a conversation off by discussing some, our favorite topic when the cameras are not rolling, we are mostly laughing at believers and their fallacies. Not them as people, but then the ideas that they espouse, because, we respect them as people, but just like any other people, they may not be able to split the difference between a bad idea and a good idea. And so we'll discuss some of those fallacies. And one of the favorite ones that we have been seeing people throw about, they are like, jujutsu ninjas, they're just throwing fallacies out. So,
House of Flying Daggers.
Exactly. So one of their favorite ones is, Pascal's wager. It comes in various forms.
In fact, it's one of the natural.
Yeah, it comes in various forms. And I don't really blame them. And since Mause just vanished, it seems that some of the Christians' prayers are being answered.
Yeah.
It's very good. Just check it. Oh, you see, prayer doesn't work. He's back. So one of the interesting ones that they threw about is Pascal's wager, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I always thought that it was killed a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago. But it keeps coming back. It's like Christ. It's always resurrecting every year. So please, guys, your takes on this. Nene, let's start with you.
I don't know, but maybe we might do...
Define it properly.
Define it, yeah.
Yes.
Who wants to take it out?
Oh, take it out. For me.
Okay, so largely the claim is... okay, so what do you stand to lose, right? If you believe in God and it turns out that he doesn't exist.
My mom's favorite.
That's really the claim. Because it would appear there's everything to gain if you say you believe and it turns out that God does exist. Then you get a shining mansion.
Yeah,
the
you get to breathe the oxygen.
Yes.
That way.
By spiritual oxygen and then spiritual gold. Which, like
Yes,
we discussed,
this,
it's a bit different.
It's slightly different.
Slightly different chemical properties.
It's like
The nitrogen
it's
is
like an
too different.
isotope.
And it doesn't really have any real value in that sense.
No,
'Cause
no,
you're
it-
working on good. Like,
But
everyone else is
working
so
on
then
good.
what's the point?
No, but the
You-
spiritual
yeah, but-
oxygen is different.
Then
It tastes different.
You guys, people are going to pray.
Let's continue. So you don't have anything to lose, right?
Mhm.
That's if you believe in God and it turns out that maybe he doesn't exist or she doesn't exist or it doesn't exist. And all to gain if God does exist. So why take the contrary position? Because if you do take the contrary position that he doesn't exist or that you are not too sure that he does exist, then this is the price you might have to pay if you are in error.
Package.
Hey, purgatory is just...
Purgatory is
That's the
purgatory is the
beginning.
equivalent of half and half milk when it comes to like a spiritual.
Purgatory is just the beginning. They've not started with you yet.
You're just waiting.
Yeah, so if you don't believe the upsides are very minimal, you live an ordinary life, and then the downsides are like really terrible. Yeah, so that is really Pascal's wager. So given the disproportionate nature of the gains in these decisions, the question is why would you rather choose not to believe?
And it's disproportionate because it's 3 to 1, right?
Yeah.
If you split it into 4, the likelihood that you would gain is 3 to 1.
Yeah.
So those are great odds.
Yeah. So the question is, yes, why would you do that? So do you want to take it?
Oh yeah, I want to just also touch up on. Okay, so Pascal's wager was, I'm a math major, so we like Blaise Pascal. He was just 27 years old. He was actually almost always sick, so he got time to be in the sick bed. He gets time to be thinking stuff out. Okay, and he was a young guy. Sometimes when they say these things, you think it's an old man with a white beard. Very young guy, 25 years, bringing up this wager. And one of the things is, it was at the time where they were developing the theory of probability at the initial stages. And they just started with a two-way table. So what he did was a two-way table. And he was actually trying to communicate to his rich friends. He didn't even intend the argument for ordinary people. It's for his rich friends who are in academia with him. So he used a two-way table. And now in maths, Charlie, there are a lot of fallacies or there are a lot of problems with the two-way table.
Yeah.
You understand? So his wager has so many problems, which we'll be discussing. My friends will be doing a lot of justice on that. But what I want to touch on as the fallacy is believing in God. Okay, so his wager was for believing in God and
Not believing.
Yeah, believing in God because it has so much upside.
versus
Not believing in God because
not believing in
the
God.
upsides of not believing are very limited. I mean, you live an ordinary life, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then the counter of that is how do you call it? If you don't believe, there's all
Yeah.
to lose.
All to lose a hair.
Yeah.
So, which God?
That was my initial problem with Pascal's wager
Yeah.
is the lack of definitions.
For God.
Yeah, because every time you're coming out with a mathematical idea, it's all definitions because
Yeah.
X can mean anything, Y can mean anything, Z can mean anything. It only means what you define it to be. So he constrained everything by not properly defining God. He made it so open. And the assumption is that his God is your God.
Your God, yeah.
And that was the first problem. So if you use Pascal's wager, technically Muslims are not supposed to go to heaven. Technically. If you use Pascal's wager, Hindus are also not going. If you use Pascal's wager, Jehovah's Witnesses are not going.
At all. So it's like...
Obviously, I believe in
That is to say Pascal's God is the Christian God.
It's a Christian God. Not even just a Christian God. It's a specific God. The God of his God, his denomination at that particular time.
Yeah.
And to me, that was why I didn't really like, because for me, I also love mathematics. So when I was looking at it, I was like, I'm waiting for the definitions.
Yeah.
And I didn't see the definitions, and I was like, you can't write out, even if it's a 2-8, those tables, they are problematic. But even if you define it, then I can at least go along with you, like try and follow your logic. But without a definition, we are dead on arrival. And that was my problem with it.
And also, like, there is a heaviness to not defining what Kwabena is saying. It is heavy. It's not as if
yes.
It is really important when you are doing such things to define. It's very heavy. So for someone who is an academic like he is, he wrote so many nice theories which we all benefit from. We still use. To do such a lazy job, most commentaries on the wager says he did an intellectually lazy job.
Yeah.
Because he just decided to run away from defining God.
Yeah, but can I also side with him a bit? It was a back of handkerchief thing. It wasn't. This was not something that it was. It was a back of handkerchief thing. It was like, okay, if I do this, see what I've done.
Oh no, but preceding the wager, the Pansies had so many what do we call it? Preconditions before he let the wager out. So it means he has actually thought.
But wait, the thing is, we are all assuming that the average person who puts that statement out. No, not even that. is taking it from Pascal.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know about the Pascal.
So independent discoveries, that's a word. So multiple people haven't thought about the issue would all collapse on the same problem. That okay, what do I really? It's like the guy is making an investment decision, and he says, okay, so which of these two investments should I make? So I think really what one will be considering during an investment decision is what path should I take? Where if it goes south, I have very little to lose. But if it goes well, there's a lot to gain. And I think this is really what Pascal is trying to dabble in. But even maybe to make things a bit more concrete, we can even say, okay, let's collapse Pascal's God to any God that is interested in whether people believe in him or not. And after he's interested in that, or she is interested in that, or it is interested in that, it has a punishment to offer if you fail to meet that criteria. So let's say whatever, it could be a Catholic God, it could be a Protestant God, it could be a Muslim God, Zeus, it could be anything. But the key criteria that brings the God into our frame of consideration is whether he cares whether you believe in him or not, or it or not. And then if you do, there's some punishment or some reward on the basis of that. So I wanted to address that so that we avoid the question of whether it is a Christian God or not. But let's say there's a conception of the God that has a reward or a punishment scheme for.
Are you talking about the morality of that particular God?
No, not morality, but I would like us to move a little bit deeper into the question, into addressing the question, where it's not just an issue of which type of God, but to say why is the argument bad, even if they were a certain God.
Okay. Before then, let me just chip this in. That the actual fallacy that we've been talking about, right? Apart from the underlying, our use of Pascal's wager is a fallacy, right? The one that we've been discussing so far is a false dichotomy. The assumption that there are literally just two options. And people always do that when they are faced with a problem. They either go, it's either right or left. It's either blue or black. It's either A or B.
Is that a fail or succeed?
Yeah, it's either a fail or succeed. They don't see that there may be gray areas. They don't even see that there's a third option. How much more an infinite possibility of options. And so that is the primary fallacy of Pascal's wager. Now to your point.
No, but before you land, so I think for this argument, most of the time you don't find academics throwing it out because they already know the problem with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the thing is, most people we might want to address are the people who just put it out because they think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they don't even know that it's Pascal's wager. They just know that,
it makes sense.
you know what, all the stuff you're saying might be true, but think about it like this. What if there is a God? And maybe I'm just believing in some crap. Maybe you have a point, but maybe what if there's a God?
Okay.
And you got it wrong, and we get there and that God exists.
Okay.
What if, that kind of argument? So I think we should address that more than like the whole
So
logic.
so
I don't know whether you get me. Because the average person just puts it out there like, you know what, Charlie, maybe there's a God who just pretend, whatever. Just go to church for Christ's sake
it's
or
just
whatever.
in line with what we are saying. Like, you need to define God, and you need to define heaven and hell.
No, this people already believe that
it's possible for one to feel that way and say, what if there is a God? And genuinely be asking that question. That because Pascal's wager, I feel like it's a genuine attempt at getting the best odds for yourself. It's a genuine attempt. However, the idea is this: it's more in my favor.
Exactly.
I'll come. I think. Let me see what I can attack this from another point of view. So, let's borrow two ideas. So, one being evolutionary theory. That is to say, we seem to be the only primates that have a prefrontal cortex, and the brain has cerebral cortex as big as the one we have. And if we don't know anything, we do know that it helps us make judgments in terms of the validity of claims and how to reason about problems and stuff. So if I'm to appear in front of God, the question might be, okay, you do exist. What am I supposed to use this for?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm sure he'd be hard pressed to come up with an explanation for why I have this. Because if the idea is not to evaluate facts and then analyze them with your own powers of reason, then I don't know why we have this. This is like they're useless organ. Right? So we do
uses, please allow.
It does, but this guy looks like it shouldn't have a use.
Good, but that's what we use for watching soccer.
Of course, playing games.
It's very useful.
Yeah. So my point is this: we have a powerful tool. I'm not sure, but this is our current understanding that this is the most complex organ in a known universe, right? And then now this instrument is supposed to be shut down when we come to the question of the existence of God, right? That's what we are asked to do right now. But even worse, you're supposed to look at God and say, so really, you don't care whether I really believe in you. You don't even care whether I'm persuaded by the evidence. Rather, you care whether I'm trying to be a good cha-cha player. Because so really your concern is, are you really concerned as to whether I actually believe in you? Or you are concerned as to whether I'm making a clever move?
I think they say God does not play dice or something like that.
I think he does, but yeah.
So he doesn't gamble, but he wants us to gamble.
Yes, good. So this sounds like he approving of gambling in the sense that, this guy made a good bet.
Yes.
It's not that he believes me. It's not even that he thinks that I'm wonderful and Charlie Almighty and stuff. He's just being a fast ass. You get what's happening. And I don't know what that says about God.
Yeah, so it means that those who make that argument think very little of God.
Yeah. It's more like God is like psychopath.
Yeah.
The guy who can't tell you his mind, the guy who can evaluate facts the guy who's always trying to prop up your ego, I want to be in this guy's good books, man.
But
because there's a lot to gain.
The most important question we have to answer is their question of, what do I lose? Now there's a lot to lose.
Yes.
There's a lot to lose. First and foremost, if in that hypothetical scenario, if by chance it's any different God, even if it's the same God, but he actually did not want you to choose him and you choose him, you have lost.
Yeah. You are super fun.
Yeah.
And even the modalities on how even you get your God.
What if God is a woman and all this were even though you picked the right God, you have been saying in his name, and he's pissed off. Or she's pissed
all
off.
this while. That's why hurricanes and all those
Yes,
things
it's because
happened. World War II happened because of that. God was pissed at his gender appropriation.
Yeah, we've been misgendering
Have your
her.
pastor told you about that?
There's so many other possibilities.
Yeah.
So once you move away from the 3:1, you realize that it's actually 1 is to infinity.
Okay.
You begin
Alright.
to see that.
Okay, so let me also chip in. The wager is about belief in God and then heaven and hell. Okay, and in Christianity, it's not even, or in Pascal's context, which is the Christian God, it's not even all Christian interpretations of the Bible that believes even that there is a hell and there is a heaven. So that even makes the whole thing shaky, because then now we have to skew Pascal to his denomination of the Christian half. So it really flaws the whole thing in a way, because the same God, the same Bible, the same inspiration, the same speech. You have so many people, like there are actually, I've been in church, there are 7 different interpretations on the eschatology, these heaven and hell related issues. That's the major ones, and all of them don't agree. There are actually so many who believe in hell. Those who even believe in hell, they believe it's not a place. You understand? So they all have a head. Some of them believe there is fire. The fire is integrative.
Some believe that is where their ex-girlfriends are.
Some believe you just bend for bait and
And then
and later you are back.
Yeah.
But others believe it's eternity and all those things. So please, you can ask your pastors to tell you about the 7 different opinions. It's like you are just used to your church.
No, but
Your church's opinion.
So personally, I think this is the thing, right? The Pascal's wager, even for those who don't know that what they usually put out there is Pascal's wager, they assume that there's some probability of a God existing in the first place to make that point. Because then if I said, oh, believe in Harry Potter, if you don't believe in Harry Potter, blah blah blah, you would laugh about it because you think this is stupid. This is a stupid proposal in the first place. So the assumption is that there's some probability of a God existing. So let's push that probability's boundaries to, okay, what if that probability is actually bigger than you assume it is? But in actual fact, we know the probability is not there in the first place. It's not existing. It's just like the Harry Potter case. It's something we should be laughing about. But people actually believe that probability is there, and we should actually make it bigger than it is.
Yeah, and then there's this other issue. Okay, so it's not just a question of belief or not belief, especially with most gods. It's also a set of prescriptions about accompanying set of ideas and rules and modes of conduct, right? So if there isn't a God, why the hell am I going to be every day, 5 times a day, pointing towards a particular location and then praying? I hope that doesn't mean something.
And it's even
you lose all that. It answers the question of what you lose. You lose all that time.
All that time.
That's what.
Imagine. Because of some hypothetical God, they chop pork. What do you man? Like don't
all the signs.
Fuck his baby.
Imagine don't be
After that remark, I think we have to post our locations.
But we're gonna get free pork delivery
and a comment. And then there's the other thing about the force dichotomy erased, which is to say, one is cast into a position where you either believe or you don't believe. And then they look at it, you don't believe in a sense where it's an active decision.
Yeah.
They don't seem to understand that not believing is not an active position. It's the default position when you can't take a strong stance on the position. So imagine I walk up to Nene, I said, I have a bag, and in the bag there are let's say pebbles. And then, or no, better still, Nene I are just sitting, and he walk up to us and then hand us a bag with pebbles. And then I tell Nene, although we don't know where the bag is coming from, I know there's an even number of pebbles in the bag. Is Nene supposed to believe me? No. But is he also saying I'm lying?
No.
That's not what he's saying. So what we're also trying to get at is that, because Nene's question to me would be, Eugene, we're here, I don't know how you knew this, but you have to say a little bit more than just I know there are an even number of balls in there. And I think that is at the heart of the religious claim. It's a question of you are making a claim we don't know because we don't see the compelling evidence that's making you say the things. But that is also not to say we are saying you are lying.
Yeah. But your analogy extend that analogy to then it says I know because the bag is blue.
Yeah.
That's basically the Christian argument.
Be kind.
No, I'm being frank.
Oh yeah,
that's basically the.
That's
I think after saying this, you shouldn't read the comments.
No, I'm being. I'm being frank here.
Yeah.
It's like when asked to present evidence, it doesn't mean that anything you say after I ask that question is the evidence. That's not how evidence works.
I know, but for a lot of people, they think the answer to why is because.
Yes, and I don't blame them. It's the educational system.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same.
They even tell you in the educational system to answer.
To answer by saying because.
Yes.
So
Any logically incoherent statement
after that automatically becomes coherent. Automatically becomes coherent. So we also have to lay down the rules of evidence when we are asking for evidence. When you say, "Oh, I have an even number of pebbles in my backpack," okay, how do you know the bag is blue? That
got to do with
that again in science or in philosophy, right? Your answer shouldn't beg more questions.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps happening. Is blue okay? How is that related?
Yeah.
Oh, it's related because blue is the shade of the sky. So we keep spiraling towards
circles.
The wager has so many problems. He raised a very salient point about what it even means to be saved. You know, you have to be saved before you go to heaven. And if you say you believe in Jehovah, interpretation of salvation is even different per denomination.
Yes.
So how do we even reconcile you in the belief?
Yes.
I think that
even you in the belief, you are not going to heaven per one person's analogy.
Yeah. So there's salvation in that argument. and this is the only way as a human is that I reconcile all of this, right? That I think even it's in theology that salvation is a personal thing.
Of course.
It's a personal thing. Now, I allow for individual personal delusions because we all have them, even as atheists.
Yeah.
Right? I have my biggest delusion, and frankly speaking, is my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
I have zero evidence for it.
I
keep telling people that I have zero evidence for why I have faith in humans because they keep repeatedly messing me up. They keep repeatedly disappointing me. But I still have faith that they will be better. They will be better. So I allow for personal delusions. So as long as it's a personal delusion which does not exceed the boundaries of your person.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us has a problem with that.
Yes. Of course I know. But the problem is it never ends there. So
that's the problem.
Yes, because you do well understand why it doesn't end it because the religious doctrine says one of the rules is that you must do well to also
get more people.
Yes.
Sounds more like a pyramid scheme than anything else.
Of course.
The greatest pyramid scheme.
Okay.
Religion.
Wait, is that why they build all those pyramids?
Probably.
Don't leave me.
Man, I don't know if we've handled Pascal enough.
I think we have.
If you have any questions, the comments, just
put them there.
Just leave them there. I will not read them.
We
but
answer in
sarcasm.
We answer in sarcasm.
And if you want to find me, I'm at Madina Zongo. If you go behind the Masalachi, I'm there. Always 24/7. You find me there. I'm the guy who is selling the wagashi.
Wagashi stuff. Yeah.
I swear that thing the pop prof. Anyways, we'll end this episode here. In the next episode, we'll be wearing the same dress. And it's not because we don't have dresses.
Or better still, you know what we can do? We can permute it.
Yeah. So in the next episode, we'll change positions. Then you just realize that
we'll
it's
change
in the next episode. All right. So thank you for listening. As always, think for yourself, care for others. And then, those who are single, please give out your numbers.
No problem. We'll put it in the comments. Put it in the comments.
All right. Take care of yourselves.
We are
Bye.